'Cause I got to get to this one. Pay at risk, Justin. Pay at risk. Anytime I ever brought up that we should pay salespeople a flat salary, they say, "Pete, you're crazy." Am I crazy, or have you changed your tune, Justin?
Well, like I said, we started off working with large industrial companies. And in those environments, salespeople are hardly ever paid at risk. They're paid salaries, and they're paid good salaries. Um, um, I think that it depends. It depends how you view your sales function. If you view your salespeople as autonomous or semi-autonomous agents, kind of like, I don't know if you saw that movie, The Founder. It featured Ray Kroc driving around in his jalopy trying to sell mixed master machines out of his trunk.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, if that's your sales model, if you employ a whole bunch of folks who are essentially manufacturers' reps, then I have nothing wrong with at-risk pay, because ultimately those people don't really work for you. They're independent agents.
Contractors.
But yeah, they're contractors. It's no different from if you were Dell Computer and you decided to sell some of your machines through Best Buy. Obviously, Best Buy is going to be compensated on a piece rate. It makes obvious sense. But if you actually want your sales function to consist of a bunch of team members who actually play together as a team, and in many cases, it's essential that you do that, because if you're selling something complex, you need tight integration between your salespeople and your design engineering team and, customer success or whatever. So if you're in a position where you want your salespeople to be part of a team, then it should be relatively uncontroversial for someone to suggest that maybe you should actually pay them like they're team members. So and if you don't, you end up with a whole bunch of ugly artifacts that you have to pay people in your organization to fix.
Now, from the book, you say that you should pay them to the level where compensation is no longer an issue. Is that still true?
Well, yes, but I mean, what's sad about this conversation is that it's interesting. It shouldn't be interesting. Imagine if we substituted salespeople for software engineers. Imagine if the radical idea that we were discussing, or that we were proposing, somebody was tentatively proposing, is that we pay software engineers at a level that causes them to stop talking about their pay packet and start talking about how to build the algorithms that are required to solve difficult engineering problems. Everyone just checked out of that conversation because it was so freaking boring and self-evident. Why would sales be any different? I mean, people want to ask me, why would you get rid of piece rate pay and replace it with salary? And my view is, no, hang on, the onus is on you. You're the one trying to do something that is, you're the one who's trying to do something unusual.
Yeah.
So Carney, could you do that at a company? Could you pay everybody a salary? How would that work?
I don't think we can, just because of the, part of you get hamstrung with the expense model that you have, right? So if you pay everyone a salary, and you're expecting only to pay out, 40% commissions, then all of a sudden your P&L changes. And so that's another problem that often happens, I think, in that situation. But I do think it all depends. I mean, if they're hunters, if they're purely hunters, you might want to incentivize, more. If they're account managers, you should pay them.
If they're purely hunters, they don't need to be incentivized because they're hunters, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's their whole.
I play tennis, and there's salespeople who come and play in the evenings after work. Turns out they're competitive on the tennis court, and they're not being incentivized with money. You know why? Because they're competitive.
Yeah, I get it. I think the problem is you got to get it early, because otherwise, when you start getting in multiples and stuff like that, and your EBITDA and your cash EBITDA and all of those earnings.
Well, it depends on it depends how you look at them. If you look at them on a month-to-month basis, then maybe the numbers will go backwards. But if you look at them on a rolling 12-month basis, then the traditional model's terrible from an EBITDA perspective. Yeah. I mean, it may well be that you view piece rate pay as a hedge against non-performance. But I've got a question for you, James. Let's say you employ 10 salespeople. Yep. And all of them appear to be capable, because you're not an idiot. You wouldn't have employed the ones that look like deadbeats. And every week you check in on them and see how they're going. And all of them have rapidly growing pipelines. how long does it take for you to discover or to determine which of those 3 or 4 people you just employed are in fact deadbeats and need to be ejected from the organization?
Oh, it takes easily over a year, probably.
Yeah, it takes a year. So so piece rate pay is only objective for the organization is if you do the reckoning on the first month. If you do the reckoning over the course of a year, it's terrible for the performance of organizations. I mean, if we build a sales team and salespeople do nothing other than selling conversations, and they have 15 to 20 they have 10 to 15 selling conversations a day, and they process opportunities at rate of 10 a day, and they sit in a room with a bunch of other salespeople who are doing exactly the same thing, meaning we can benchmark them with one another. We can tell a good salesperson from a deadbeat within weeks, and we eject them from the team within a month. Now, we might have paid them 150K a year because that's the market value of someone that has a set of capabilities that we need. But we pay them 150K a year for a month.
Now,